So last we left our intrepid adventurers, giant crab. That's right, giant crab.
Crab leg, yes.
Yeah.
Really? The crab leg, the battle against the crab leg.
Yeah, you haven't seen the previous episode?
No, sometimes there's weird themes that happen in life, and someone mentioned on Facebook, like, oh no, the new Sony PlayStation, we'll have to fight giant enemy crab again.
Yeah.
And then League of Legends, there's a giant enemy crab skin that I saw for the first time, and now it's giant enemy crab again.
Yeah.
Bad Star Wars. Yeah, I guess so.
So we're just fighting the leg of this crab.
Yeah, that's all the party was really up for, is just the leg.
Yeah, there's an army fighting the rest of it.
It's like 10 stories tall. Even on the battle board, I was like, okay, the leg is this big. Their miniatures are this big, right?
Yeah.
So they're, but when they ran out there, the general's like, you take that leg! And the whole army's converging on all these other legs, so...
As I recalled, I had the leg tied up with the bola when we...
It had just got out because it just had one turn where everyone sort of unloaded on it, and it hadn't really done. Oh no, it had just done that thing where
it made
everyone go enraged and attack each other.
Yeah, and so the very first thing next turn, it had some sort of weird gas or eyeball thing.
It was a giant crab leg. It was a chaos beast, right? So it has a giant crab leg. But the crab leg had crab legs on it, and it had pinchers on it, and it had little eye stalks on it, and it was just sort of like this weird fractal crab. Yeah,
fractal crab. So it did some sort of weird chaos beast thing that was going to make everyone close to it attack each other. Cricket was just out of range of that effect, though. And Cricket is a bard, so she's got all these move people around stuff. So the first thing she did was move everyone away from everyone else so that no one could hit each other. So that was sort of nullified. The party basically wasted their turn doing nothing, but at least they weren't hitting each other.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because if you didn't have to move to attack someone, you just had to waste your turn if you couldn't attack someone. So that's what everyone did.
So, what else happened? I don't think much else happened that turn. Serendipity Van Goldstarter Malora wasn't affected, but I don't remember what she did that turn. It was pretty much a waste of a turn. And then the crab did some crab stuff.
The crab, they locked it down pretty good. Like, it kept getting immobilized or stunned. Oh, people use their action points to stun to get an action, and they slowed it or they immobilized it, and so it couldn't do its step on you attack. And
I hit it with Bola again with a jinx shot, so that if it missed on an attack, it would fall prone. And it did a lot of attacks, but it didn't miss with any of them. It was very, very annoying. I think eventually I managed to knock it prone with one of those.
Yeah, eventually it was later on.
But yeah, surprisingly later on it was. And yeah, it was a long fight with a lot of weird stuff that happened, but I can't remember a lot of the details. So, we eventually managed to get that leg. Did we kill it outright, or did we just get it, down to the point where the thing was trying to flee or something?
Well, I'm trying to think of anything else particularly interesting happened. Mostly it was just, everyone was unloading their dailies on it, and it was doing attacks like making people run away. It did eventually manage to try to step on Croesus. The problem is it just kept getting immobilized or slowed, and it was in the middle of a bunch of buildings, and I said it can step on buildings and wreck them, but it counts as difficult terrain for it. Mm-hmm. So it just kept not being able to do anything. It finally tried to step on Croesus, and Croesus dodged. Sad. But, I mean, it was a fairly challenging fight in the sense that people did need healing and stuff, but sort of...
Once we got it locked down, it was a solo, so when you've got one solo and we're all throwing status effects on it, it really sucks for it. I have found now that solos really need support.
Well, they do okay, but a lot of people have status affecting things.
The key abilities solos need are ways to get out of status effects. Extra turns.
Which they have. I guess they get out of save ends easier.
Yeah.
They do, but they also need a freebie.
To get out of one round status effects or something?
Yeah, they need just something that ignore one effect.
It'll be hard to do that without being cheap, though, because status effects are the cool things that the players do.
Yeah. Yeah, like that's one thing I really like about the solo design is that it's not like they're immune to effects. It's just that they have a way better chance of getting out of them, which is good because it's not like the Final Fantasy solution where it's just like, oh, you just can't use your attack on the boss.
You could do a thing where they get to make a regular save against everything at the beginning of the round.
That would be cool.
Save, yeah, or just move it so they save at the beginning instead of the end.
Well, but then
then
they don't, because then they get their
that's
super.
Right, that's right.
They
They
get
got
their like.
They save on a 6.
Yeah,
Yeah.
maybe eliminate the bonus. I don't know, whatever.
I kind of like that thing. They save at the beginning of their turn, or maybe they have a bad save. Like they save on a 15 at the beginning of their turn, and then they save on a 6 at the end of their turn.
Yeah.
Like that might be pretty cool.
Yeah.
But they also need multiple rounds in between. Like they need multiple actions.
Yeah, they usually have like a double attack or something, but that
It's insufficient.
yeah.
They actually need multiple full rounds.
Yeah.
Maybe just more than 2 action points or something.
Or they just get an extra standard every round.
I would just say like they go in between the characters and after the characters.
That's what I've generally done with big bosses. Like the last 2 big bosses of my campaigns both had some mechanism that let them have more than 1 turn, which was absolutely critical for this particular solo. It's just a giant crab leg. Like
That's true. Yeah.
I didn't care about it that much. It didn't need to be like the epic end of campaign fight. It was just like you're fighting this fractal crab leg.
It's really hard to justify thematically, but
Yeah.
But anyway,
Well,
so
even just giving an extra standard action would be good because often cool things are standard actions and double attacks are 2 lame things. So better to have 2 standard actions than a double attack.
this particular crab leg, it had 3 encounter powers, and those are then quickly used. So it actually ended up managing to use all of its encounter powers.
Okay.
So by the end, all it had was its double attack.
Right.
But anyway, they killed the crab leg, in the sense that when it dropped to 0 hit points, that leg was sort of broken, and it was around that time that the army had taken out 1 other crab leg at that point. The Oblin were forming a phalanx to push it back into the rift, and it was starting to freak out because it was actually getting killed. But there was shouts coming from the generals in the army and stuff saying, push it back over the rift. We don't want it to die on the city because it's this gigantic crab. It's going to crush the city if it dies on the city.
So John was like, okay, what will you do to push it? It's like a skill challenge.
yeah.
And it turned out 3 of the party had at-will push attacks.
So I gave those as 3 auto successes for the skill challenge. And Croesus, someone had a rope, and Hank, or maybe it was Hank had a rope, but Hank was just pulling on it. Oh yeah, Croesus had the at-will push, I think.
Yeah, he had an at-will push. So did Serendipity and Cricket.
And both Hank, or not Hank, that's right, Hank pulled it with a rope, and Aurora had a feat she'd just taken that was let her use her charisma in place of an athletics check. So it's sort of like a force of mind.
Yeah.
We said it was sort of like she just pulled the rope really hard, and everyone was like, wait, how did you do that? And she's like, ding. and they're like, okay, I'll allow it. But
Ooh, little old me. So I feel like the real problem for your party is finding enough melted butter for that leg.
Well,
And some crab crackers.
Yeah.
we were like, it was ridiculous. We're running for the edge of the city, dragging the crab along behind us.
well, yeah, they did so well on that skill challenge. I was like, you're as effective as the rest of the army put together. You really pull that crab. But I said you're so effective. You can choose right now, to push it over the edge or to leave it sitting on the edge and then kill it while it's because there's that question, just push it over alive or try to kill it on the edge. And they ended up having to put it to a vote, in which case they chose to leave it alive and go see what the army wanted to do. And
Croesus wanted to push it right over the edge immediately, and everyone else was like, no, let's kill it. We can kill it. It's awesome.
Yeah.
And so that's what we went with. And we actually killed the crab, but it killed a couple of oblin while it was flailing around.
yeah, we had another skill challenge for that, where I allowed people to use their at-wills attacks to be the skill things. So mostly people just sort of attacked it, but
So
I think you're gonna mention the Croesus thing.
yeah, I was just going to. I don't know. Do you want to?
Go ahead.
Okay. So when this thing like killed some of those Oblin, Croesus completely flipped out and just went bananas.
Well, no, it was because it was his fault.
Yeah, because
He failed his skill. He failed in his skill
right.
check. He was
Right.
supposed to do this. His thing for the skill challenge was he was going to. He used a net willpower and made a bunch of rocks fly and like all this weird stuff happen, and he's critically failed. And so I was like, well, you do all this weird stuff, and the Oblin who are forming the phalanx, like the ones near you, like notice and start freaking out, and their lines break, and then a bunch of them get killed by the crab thing, which made Croesus quite upset.
So he completely wigged out and started hallucinating, but his hallucinations were solid. Basically, he started like imagining that the Oblin in the line, the phalanx, were his old comrades, and they started looking like them, and all kinds of weird stuff happened.
And they were
Bizarre
doing the things they did, like fighting with martial arts and casting magic, and he actually used his cinematic point to get an auto success on that. So a bunch of the Oblin nearby him sort of turned into his old phalanx and hammered on the crab, and drove the killing blow on it actually.
So
And then Croesus slunk away.
to go drink some Makir.
Yeah, he slunk away in shame and pulled out a bottle of Makir.
So the rest of the party are all trying to help with like helping the wounded and gathering, trying to clear rubble and stuff like that.
Yeah, put out fires, etc.
Serendipity Van Goldstrider Malor sees Croesus slink away. She and Cricket were the only ones that saw him slink away because he used a stealth check. But Cricket was like, he wants to slink away, then therefore he should slink away. And so Serendipity Van Goldstrider Malor followed Croesus into this alley where he's drinking his Makir. And Shannon, the player, is still completely obsessed for some reason with taking away Croesus's Makir. She just totally wants to ruin his fun.
Well, Serendipity is concerned about Croesus.
Yeah.
She kept saying, why doesn't anyone care that he's like drinking himself into a stupor? But I mean,
He's not drinking himself into a stupor, though.
Well, yeah, I mean, it's true. She's sort of treating him like he's alcoholic. But really, he found some booze yesterday, got really drunk, and now he's getting drunk again for the first time ever in his life.
Yeah.
I guess it's possibly a slippery slope, but
Also, it's quite possible, just, hey, he's got some booze, let's try this out, I don't know. She seems to have really jumped to the conclusion that Croesus is an incurable lush. and that, he needs an intervention. He's had one drink. You need an intervention. We're all your friends, Croesus.
He had one binge night.
But, so she follows him in the alley, and he isn't, like, completely wasted. He just had a drink.
he had one glass.
Yeah,
he upended the bottle,
he just
and then
drank it.
And then some. Well, he got focused on something. He was trying to focus on something, remembering something, and then he got real upset and threw the bottle and smashed it. So he's only had one drink, but
Is Makir actually addictive? Anything like that?
not. It's similar to alcohol, so
So you could become a
you could.
Makir-holic.
Yeah, I suppose. But probably not from getting drunk twice.
Unless you had, like, a really addictive personality to begin with.
It would be similar to alcohol. It's like it in many ways. So.
So, Serendipity basically just sort of sat next to Croesus and went, there.
there.
She was actually very concerned, like Serendipity, because we mentioned this is a side of Serendipity we haven't seen. She was very concerned about Croesus and upset that he was so upset, but her charisma is 8. So she made a terrible diplomacy check, and she tried to awkwardly comfort him for like an hour.
There.
A few things happened during that, but I don't know. Like he mentioned a few things, but yeah.
Yeah,
About
I think
his-
he covered some of that in the interviews and stuff.
Yeah,
So.
a lot of that stuff is in the interviews, and Serendipity was. The main thing is that she was quite upset by Croesus' state, but
So, after we're done that, since we were so effective in the fight against the crab, Miss General Anderson, or General Miss Anderson, who we'd been talking with previously about Stanley, she's like, "Oh, we're going to give you a medal for this," and we're like, "Well, we're already getting a medal for the Butcher of Brackenridge thing." Did we get 2 medals?
No, she gave you a bonus.
Right. Yes.
They don't really have money for rewards, but
Yeah.
they have the money that
not
they
a
give as
medal, but-
bonuses to like really well performing soldiers. So they're like, you can have the bonus money for this month. It was 600 gold,
Yeah.
not a huge amount, but
Yeah.
whatever.
Yeah.
A little
Sorry,
bit.
I thought. Yeah. That's
They
better
were
than- that's better
scheduled to
than
get a medal later that afternoon for killing the Butcher of Brackenridge, but
Oh yeah, the medal ceremony was fun.
you did. But General Miss Anderson did say, okay, you can come meet with me at 9 a.m. And when they talked to her, because they'd been so helpful, she ended up telling them a little bit about Stanley.
Yeah, she trusted us now because we'd proven ourselves to be good guys.
And she was quite concerned about him because he had gone off to hide, and she knew where he was hiding. He was hiding in the sewers in a certain spot that he had told her about in case he didn't show up after a couple weeks to go look there. And he had told her that he was involved in something that was totally legal, but a great way to make a lot of money, and he had to keep it secret. And she was starting to doubt this totally legal aspect of it.
Yeah.
And when she heard that like there was like a 200,000 gold piece bounty to get that box back, she started to be very concerned about his safety, right? So she basically told the party where to find him in the sewers, gave them a little instruction map, and
But before that, we needed to do a full rest, and we needed to go get our medals for the Butcher of Brackenridge.
yeah, because they'd been up all night.
Yeah, we were helping. So we rested. I don't think anything significant happened there.
No,
And then it was time for the medal ceremony, and that was fun. Let's see, how did it go?
it was fairly low key. Like it was
Yeah.
like 30 soldiers and stuff. Like it wasn't a big fancy
Yeah.
thing. And
But Aurora is up on stage in front of people, an audience of people she's never met before. And so, what was the subject of her?
I think it was how everyone, we did some good stuff helping with the crab, but you guys all banded together and
Yeah.
you're the real heroes, and it's Greybridge is a great town, and then she rolls and gets like 50 on her diplomacy,
Yeah,
and so
just-
by the end
the town was like eating out of her hand
Yeah.
and stuff. It was just
a huge crowd had formed, like all the soldiers had come out of the barracks, and they're all shouting, Greybridge, Greybridge, Greybridge. So the town was super enthused, and they're all like, wow, those guys are so great, and they started to get kind of a following, like rumors are spreading about like these heroes who killed the Butcher of Brackenridge, and they're just so great, and they love Greybridge, and Greybridge Alliance is awesome. And then Hank got up to speak. And he, actually, no, it was Hank who said, because she had said, I forget maybe it wasn't that, because Hank was the one who said, actually, it's you guys who are the real heroes here. And they all, and he made an amazing diplomacy check as well. And they got super enthused, and everyone's like, oh, they're so great and so humble. It's wonderful. So.
And then Cricket tried doing a diplomacy check to sort of back up the party, and I rolled a 1. So it still was really good. I think in total it worked out to be 18 or something. So
I thought you were playing like supportive music or something.
Yeah, Cricket was sort of doing accompaniment, but she sort of tried doing a bit of a speech thing. But problem is, she's an imperial citizen and quite loyal to the Empire and stuff. And these are the Greybridge Alliance, which kind of doesn't mesh with that quite so well. So.
Well, Brian told me that Cricket was going to wear, because she has that EF medal, and she was going to wear that next to her other medal. And I thought she meant at the ceremony.
Yeah, no.
And I was like, I think that's not going to go over very well. But apparently she just meant after.
Well, I wasn't even saying I was going to wear it. I was just curious, whether they'd fight or something. Because, one of the, I think this was actually, was it the
It belonged
Butcher's?
to the Butcher of Brackenridge.
Yeah, the Butcher had this medal from the war, like, most atrocities committed in a month or something medal, which was really super impressive, and so would give the wearer like a bonus to, you know...
Something, I forget what. It's an amulet.
Yeah.
But it has an eep symbol, which, though different from the Nazi symbol, that's basically that's the information it would convey. You'd be wearing this swastika medal around, and it would give you bonuses. Mm-hmm. But
so yeah, no one's been using it. So.
What's 5 Nazism?
So I thought it would be kind of amusing to wear them next to each other and see what happened. But John, for a moment there, thought I was suggesting I was going to wear it to the
ceremony, just to like be contrary, like walk on there with your feet out.
It's actually the Butcher of Brackenridge's medal.
Actually, it might have been useful to have that, like along with his stuff. You're like, look, this was his sword, this was his armor, this was his medal.
Yeah. So after that, we went straight into the sewer.
Yeah, they turned the whole town to them with their diplomacy, and they're like the talk of the town. Everyone loves them, and right after that, we went to the sewer.
Yeah. We're going to the sewers.
And the sewers under Greybridge are made from the waystones, so they're just basically, they look like natural tunnels, but they've been carved out in a useful pattern. And the sewage is only cleared away by rain, so it's not like liquid, it's like this black sludge that they're slurping through.
Yeah. You'd think a city with a canal running through it and a bottomless pit underneath would be able to clean their sewers a little bit
Well,
easier.
they just wait for the rain to wash it down, and that was established that, like, the sewers just eventually pour out grates into the chasm.
So as we're going along, we make a perception check, and a totally awesome perception check. We spot a goblin, sort of peeking around a corner up ahead, and when we spot him, he scuttles away. So we're like, there's a goblin down here. We'd better be on our guard, because they're very ambushy and tricksy and stuff. We're totally being on our guard. Yeah. So as we walk down, another perception check. Fail. Yeah, we're totally on our guard.
They get ambushed.
They got ambushed, yeah. We knew it was coming, but we were like, yeah.
You just weren't ready at the right moment. So we're coming to a not T-junction, it's sort of like 3 pipes combining, and it's pouring down into this big lower area of sludgy goo. And as they're coming out, they're sort of, from the other 2 sides, goblin attack. And the most notable thing they notice is one of the things with it is actually an oblin. It looks like an oblin, but he's all hunched over and he moves like a goblin and comes charging up to them just like a goblin.
So, hobgoblin.
Yes, because there were rumors of hobgoblins, these evil oblin living in the sewers. So they got attacked by goblin and possibly a hobgoblin.
And that was when the session ended.
Yep. One thing we forgot to mention, Rovain turned back into a cat.
Well, if my former owners could see me now. I've been awarded this medal. It certifies that I'm one of the people that killed the Butcher of Brackenridge. This is going to boost my resale value tremendously. I'm not too sure whether I feel I deserve it or not, but well, they gave it to me, so there it is. Shiny.
So that was the biggest chaos beast I've ever seen, and I've fought my fair share of those in the past. Something's wrong here. But we managed to deal with it. It took everybody. And yeah, I mean everybody. But I don't know, our little group certainly had a significant hand in dealing with this. And we managed to kill it and knock it off. So it won't be bothering us again. I just hope there's not more following it. That could be bad.
Dear Diary, today a wonderful thing has happened. we were at this ceremony and we're being given these medals for something, and I remembered that I had once got a medal before. Well, actually, it wasn't a medal. It was a ribbon, a red ribbon at the county fair. I remember it. I do, clear as day. I was there and my hair was in 2 braids that were like curled around my ears. I remember, and I was wearing my green dress with the little flowers embroidered at the bottom, and the medal I got was for doing cross stitch, and I had made this cross stitch sampler with the alphabet on it, and I can almost see it, like I was right there. I can smell the smell of Mrs. Carler's pies, and oh, it was such a wonderful moment. Like, it was just so rich and amazing, and it's so refreshing to be able to remember something so clearly. Oh, it's been a really, really great day.
Wow. Gross is such a tragic figure. Nothing seems to be going good for this guy. I thought I had bad luck. Wow. That's terrible. Something good that happened today is, like, we're becoming famous. Random people in the street know our names. Killing the butcher of Bracken Ridge was good for something. Not just a little dinky medal.
Usually when a squad of detached duty oblin goes down into the world's wound, they don't make it very far, because most of them are broken in some way or sick, and they decided to die fighting the chaos to the last. But our group was really something else, because most of us were the prime who'd fallen sick, but it hadn't affected our bodies yet. So we were something new, because healthy oblin had never gone on detached duty before. And we were strong. And there was one oblin named Lita. She had magic. It was funny. It was very un-oblin for some people kept, talking about the deserters, but she wasn't a deserter. It's just she had magic, and no one could explain why. Some of the halflings said sorcerer, as if that meant something. But she could make magical things that could help us against the chaos creatures, and we had plans. We figured we'd go down there and we'd do something that had never been done before. It was really quite something. I had this dream just now, and we were all there. Kem was leading us, and he was one of the best leaders I've ever known. He was smart. And Danik and Fezim were on the sides. Fezim, he fought like a nameless, so he had open hands, and he was doing all these flips, and there was magic from Lita, and we were in the center of the Oblin phalanx. All of us were there, and I was right in the center behind Chris, and I leaned over her as she ducked and caught something on her shield, and there was a chaos beast as big as 10 houses, and I stuck my spear right into its chest, and it was so good to be strong again, like I used to be with my friends again. And we were in the middle of the Oblin phalanx. It was like we were already back in Greywell. It was like I'd already woken up. I was so happy. And then the dream ended, and then they were all gone again, and they're all still down there. I have to go back. I have to keep my promise. I promised we'd all get out. I